Hi, my name's Maddie, and I'm just here in lockdown to give a helping hand to anybody out there who's at a loose end for teaching of reading, whether it's parents, teachers, whoever is doing that delivery of the reading skills. I just thought I'd put something together that could go out on YouTube straight away, and I'll upload a small resource to go with it that will help people to get themselves started. So I'm going to talk now to lower key stage 2, year 3 and 4. Obviously it's relevant to 5 and 6 and year 1 and 2, but the resource is specifically for year 3 and 4. So in terms of reading, we need to make sure that our children year 3 and 4 encompass all of the reading skills in addition to having stamina, fluency and word recognition. So we know that reading comes into two parts really. We've got our decoders and we've got our comprehension, and this resource is very much about comprehension rather than decoding. So it's a vehicle to teach the comprehension skills in lower key stage 2. So if we just remind ourselves that we've got the content domains, I'm just going to focus on the first 5, 2A, B, C, D and E. In terms of those, I'm going to upload a resource that looks like this, that will be useful for parents and teachers to have a little look at the different types of questions we can ask while we're reading to our children. And they fall under the different brackets of the content domains. So you could have a look at different ways of asking a child a question that would ascertain if they could do a vocabulary question, and then look across at retrieval and then into summary. Now I just talked on the key stage 1 video about this and put a circle around 1C, so at the same time I'm going to do the same for 2C. Summary, and then we've got our inference and prediction. Now key stage 2 children have to predict based on what's stated or implied, and a lot of our key stage 2, particularly lower key stage 2 children, struggle to stick with what's stated or implied, and they want to bring in their own knowledge or their own experience with prediction. The reason why I've put a circle around content domain 2C, which is to be able to summarise across more than one paragraph, is that it doesn't really feature as much or as prominently in the key stage 2 SATs or key stage 1, where it's sequencing rather than summary. And lots of people kind of talk about what proportion of the test is for each of the domains, and how much time should I give to each domain related on the proportion of SATs questions. And a few years ago I wrote an article about 2C and 1C being the lost content domains, and perhaps they're not covered as much as we'd like to, because they don't show that they need as much coverage based on the SATs papers. However, if when a child's reading they're not summarising as they're going along, when they get to the end of the passage or the chapter, we have to question how much of it they've taken in. You know, we've all read with those children who can read a whole chapter or read a whole extract, and then we ask them a question and they can't answer it because they haven't actually summarised internally or taken in the general gist, is what I say to children. You know, I might read a section and say, what's the gist of that paragraph? And some of them look a little bit blank-faced back at me that they haven't taken in what it's actually about. So it's about skilling them up on that, but I'll do a separate clip on summary. But it's just that we don't need to think that summary questions are all number the event 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. They're actually much wider than that and can be quite fun. So basically the resource that I want to share with you will cover all of the content domains, and it's a question mat. Now lots of teachers, English subject leads, teachers from all over the Northwest have created question mats with me, and it's a way of asking children a range of questions, not just all inference or vocab or summary, but a range of questions on one text. Now I know there's loads of approaches out there that do this. My own creation of Climb perhaps enhances this. They're not to be seen as two that repel against each other, but basically two that would work alongside as a vehicle to assess how much of the text the child has actually understood. So what I've done is I've used both of these books by Kate Pankhurst. I know lots of people are familiar with these. I've used the Great Women Who Changed the World and Great Women Who Saved the Planet. These are wonderful texts in terms of how they're laid out in, you know, colourful. I'm just going to find the right page. So this double spread is on Jane Goodall, who went to live in Africa. I can't think where she went now off the top of my head. She went to live and looked after the chimpanzees. Now this is a double spread, set out a great what a good one looks like for a non-con report. So in terms of teaching a waggle for writing, it's fantastic. But equally, as a double spread, we've got the question mark that then goes through it. Now, what I'm always really keen to stress is that if we're asking children to find vocabulary that they're going to come across in the text that could perhaps be difficult for them, then the first way we could do it is that they have to find these words before they get cracking, and then you can talk to them about what those words mean, so when they read them in the context of the extract, they've already got a bit of a heads up. What I would say is that those words should follow the chronological order of the text, so they should find the word Tanzania near the front. And then we've got true or false statements, which I know lower key stage 2 often struggle to decide if something can be true or false, and they want to put a tick in both boxes. If we were back in the classroom, I would suggest modelling this, but as we're not, you know, giving them some practice of it all on one question mark. Then we've got an inference question, and then an impression evidence question, which we often see in key stage 2 SATs papers as a 3 marker. So what impression have we got of Jane, and how do we know? Simplified for the year 3-4 reader. So I'm going to put a set of question marks for each of these books on the YouTube channel. So if you wanted to download them and have a go at doing some comprehension question marks or sending them home to children, then that might be of help to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.